After watching the interview with Nancy Pelosi and Leslie Stahl, I could not help but be very concerned about the media repeating the same mistakes of the past by creating false equivalences. I want to play this little piece for you, and there are two issues that I want to take on, and tell me what you think about this.
In the election in November, someone said that the mandate that the Democrats won was not about issues because you lost so many seats, that the mandate was for tone and attitude and a strong desire for compromise.
I do know that it was a mandate for us to go forward with an agenda for America's working families, as well as to do so in tone. We have a responsibility to find common ground. When we can't, we must stand our ground, but we have a responsibility to try.
You are not known as a person who
A mistake, and I would not, and nobody expects me to support something that solidifies injustice in our country.
Now, here's the issue. First of all, she allowed this notion that somehow because we lost seats, not the majority. Democrats lost seats in 2020. Why? Well, likely in 2018 was so big, we won a lot of seats we likely shouldn't have won, seats that were marginal. And likewise as well, Donald Trump did bring a lot of Republicans out. Why? Because they wanted to get rid of Donald Trump. So they voted for the Republicans and got rid of and then voted for Biden. So there are a lot of issues that explains why it is that Democrats lost seats in 2020. Now, likewise, there's a few technical issues with regards to Democrats not doing things the way they should. In other words, not really defining defund the police, not really defining a lot of these progressive issues that when defined, when you don't run from them, but when you define it and you challenge those who challenge you as opposed to cowering to those who challenge you, can actually make a difference, because Americans are on the side of progressives when you ask them the questions specifically. Now, if you allow Republicans to create the narrative, that is when we fail. But here is the big issue. The COVID bill. The COVID bill that Leslie Stahl says, well, you didn't want to compromise. That's not true at all. You put the COVID bill out there. The way that the Congress works, the Senate is supposed to pick up that bill. They can vote on that bill. They can make modifications to the bill, and then it goes into reconciliation. Both of them get together and decide, since your bill is different than my bill, we then put it together. McConnell didn't even put the bill to the floor. So let's be clear here. The obstruction was obvious, and the obstruction was one-sided. Don't be fooled or cowered into saying McConnell wants the House to give them a finished bill that then they just pass the way we want it, because the bill you give us is the bill that we asked for, as opposed to saying we will compromise together. So Nancy Pelosi did not answer that correctly. She did say that, yes, the reason why I will not compromise is because we have to make sure that the state's taken care of. We have to make sure that teachers are taken care of, first responders, etc. But she should have also said that McConnell did not do his part by bringing the bill to the floor. And why didn't he bring the bill to the floor? Because the bill as is would have passed in the Senate. So there was only one obstructionist there, and that was McConnell. Now, to come and say that a Democrat came and said, we look like obstructionists, that Democrat, instead of going out there and telling the media that we look like obstructionists, should have been out there saying, McConnell is an obstructionist for not bringing the bill to the floor. Not by saying Nancy Pelosi needs to change the bill and take it to McConnell. It is the way the system works, and McConnell didn't follow it. Now, we have to learn how to not allow a media to make believe that things are not the way they are. Again, the reality is Nancy Pelosi was not the obstructionist, and Nancy Pelosi in that interview should have made Leslie Stahl understand how Congress really works, instead of taking up the McConnell, the right-wing and centrist Democrats' notions that somehow she needed to give McConnell a bill that he would accept, as opposed to him bringing a bill to the floor and saying we are going to go bring the Senate and the House together together to negotiate what the final bill is going to look like. Again, this is where the media fails. This is where Democrats don't know how to carry the narrative many times. And this is where Speaker Pelosi, who is always on her toes, allowed Leslie Stahl to create a false sense of a false equivalence. We need to guard against that all of the times, because it is evident that the media, yes, they don't want Donald Trump, but they're very scared that Americans get what they really want, because that is against the interest of the center. And that is, most Americans want progressive policies when defined and when the narrative is there and expressed in a manner that isn't scary, a scary lie that both the media and the right wing and the establishment puts out there. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.